What's up, guys? Farooqi Bros here, back with another Built Different stream. And today for you guys, we'll be talking about all things DC, in particular, a big update with Henry Cavill. So I know this is kind of like hitting the same topic a few times, but there's a difference between rumor, speculation, and confirmation. But at this point, it's pretty safe to say we're at confirmation level that Henry Cavill is indeed back as Superman in the DCEU. And now the only question is he's back, but for how long? Or is it for one movie, two movies, a solo movie? So let me break down the basic rumors and what's considered confirmation and what's considered rumor. Spoilers ahead for Black Adam. I'm not going to go into any big spoilers, like details, just general information contract-wise. But as we know, The Rock was quite frankly booed at Comic-Con in the summer when they didn't announce that Superman was back. That's because he wasn't back at that point. The contracts weren't, the ink was not dry yet because it wasn't signed yet. So there was no contract for Superman. But The Rock has been very invested in hearing what fans are saying. And I think the backlash of Comic-Con geared him to really push Warner Brothers. And the reports where he pretty much was like, you better do this or I'm walking. Like, I'm not even going to be Black Adam anymore after this one. Like, this is it. Like, you better bring Henry Cavill back. Obviously, they're good friends, so he was always pushing for it. And looks like he got his wish because they got Henry Cavill back. They got him to shoot something for Black Adam. But it's more than that. He was in LA last week, and even Ezra Miller, despite some controversy on his end, they brought him back. And there was a scene shot for The Flash that involved Ezra Miller and Henry Cavill. So Henry Cavill's back in The Flash as well now. So it is it's a fairly confident thing to say that he is back for both Black Adam and The Flash. So I'll say that's fairly confident. Now we get to the rumor territory. The rumor territory is based on kind of reports from a few years ago where Henry Cavill was like, I'm not coming back for the Nick Fury role, which is what Deadline reported would WB offered him at the time. But the rumors suggest that they actually got him a solo film, that they have secured him a solo film. He would be starring with Supergirl in this film, but it would be his film. It's a Superman movie. And he was happy with the results, so he is back as Superman for the long term. That part is the rumor part. The other two parts is the confirmation part. So we have Superman back, which is a big deal for, I guess, the fans, especially me. Like, we haven't had Superman for years. So at least he's back on screen. That's a big thing. Now, the contrarian opinion to that as well, he was also back for Joss Whedon's Justice League. He wasn't that great. So just because he's in a costume doesn't mean the quality of the performance will be good or the script. But I'm still personally excited that he's back. So, okay. So I want to start with this. I'll start with Zion. What do you think about, now that we have some confirmation that Henry Cavill is back as Superman, do you think that a new movie is realistic for him, or are we jumping the gun too much?
I definitely think a new movie is realistic now more than ever. Now the confirmation is 100% certain, and not just for Black Adam, like I said, but also rumor for The Flash. So the chances of him now being pushed forward into a solo role or maybe a duo role with Supergirl is much more likely and plausible. I know, like you mentioned, that before Henry Cavill was hell-bent on not having that Nick Fury pseudo cameo role that he just shows up but doesn't have too much of his own purpose or his own story. I think that maybe he's like, all right, I'll play ball for now to see where it leads me. And the sirens about how loud it is. But I think this is just him saying that, okay, let me just get my foot in the door. Let me just take whatever they're giving me for now. And then maybe they did often say that, listen, do this, and then we'll consider and we'll talk about what the future of your Superman will be. And he's like, okay, after all this time, they weren't budging. Now I'll see what they have to offer. It's a new management, new regime. So maybe he's a little more open and receptive to what their ideas are for his Superman and where they're going to take him.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat there. I mean, Umar, same question to you, basically. You and me are the resident Superman fans here. I mean, so how do you feel? I mean, is it almost like the well's been soured, so it's hard to get excited after all these years? Or do you think, hey, there's actually some glimmer of hope? It is a new ownership now. It is a new regime. No more Walter Hamada. It is a different world that we're going into. Do you think there's some excitement that they're actually course correcting the ship?
I think the excitement is more so in the fact that we'll actually see him again. Like, I think that's where the excitement lies. As far as the course correction and like the background stuff, no, no, not too excited. Like at the end of the day, they're trying. It seems like they're trying to do a bunch of things where they're bringing. They said they want Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman back. That was what they said. So they're gonna do that, right? They brought back Affleck. They're bringing back Superman now. Wonder Woman isn't really an issue. Like she'll be back too. So in that sense, I feel like it's good. Like I like that aspect of it. But and now there's rumors about Suicide Squad, David Ayer Suicide Squad. So they're trying things. But again, like the business aspect of it is very unpredictable because of course there's also rumors that they bought this company to sell it. So it could be another regime. And this is the biggest issue I feel like DC fans are going to face is that there can be multiple regime changes and then everyone wants to do their own thing to leave their own mark. And that's, I guess, very different than what the MCU offered. And that's what the fans are used to now. Like the fans are used to, like they want to see that thread. And that's going to be very hard to give to DC fans because you're going to have so many regime changes. But as far as Henry Cavill coming back, I think it's exciting to use your point that like we haven't seen him in a while. So I feel like that alone, him just being in the Superman suit, him just showing up, even if I know there's like the theme that they might use is the John Williams score. And to be honest, I don't even care anymore. Like I rather see him. Like I rather see that. I just want to see him. I just want to see a Superman out there. As long as it's not Tyler Hoechlin or whatever his name is, I'm good for it. So
and you read my mind because that's exactly where I was going to steer this conversation was at the score, because one of the controversies this last week on between the fans was that the score used for this movie in this specific scene, again spoilers, is that the John Williams score will play when Henry Cavill Superman shows up, which had a lot of people being like, well, this is 2017 Justice League all over again. What's the point? You have Superman back. It's going to be with the John Williams theme. What's the difference? Well, the difference, in my opinion, is that you don't have a guy like Joss Whedon writing it. So in the end, and it's not necessarily an erasing of Zack Snyder's work because it's a different director doing his take, whereas Justice League was literally an erase and then a new version being implemented. I guess in this case, they wanted to use the John Williams theme. Hey, do I prefer the Hans Zimmer theme, especially for this character? Of course. Logically, it makes sense to use the Hans Zimmer theme, but for whatever reason, they don't want to use it. So, Samir, I know you're very into the scores of these two scores. So, I want to ask your opinion. That do you think it matters that which score they use, and which one do you prefer that they use?
I think it doesn't really matter. I think it's more about what they do with the character and not the score itself. But I prefer the Hans Zimmer one, of course, because it's the one you associate Henry Cavill Superman with. So why wouldn't they use it? But if they don't use it, then it's whatever, I guess, as long as you're getting the character back. And I think the thing about the character is I say this every time. It's like we gotta wait for the Flash movie to come out, and it's been not coming out for many years now. So and they pushed it again like a whole other year, even though their whole promotion for this year at the beginning was that the Flash is coming out or whatever's coming out. No. But that's like its own thing, and that's what I think we gotta wait for, because that'll really dictate whether they use Henry Cavill to the capacity that they should be using him to, and not like Nick Fury type role.
The interesting factoid is that they announced the Flash movie with Ezra Miller 1 week after the Flash TV show on CW aired for the first time. They're like on season 10 right now, and the Flash movie still didn't come out. Like 10 years of waiting, like they've been trying to figure this Flash movie out. So with which different actors, I mean, not different actors, but different directors, different writers. So it's been a crazy road to get to this point. Finally, it's still like, okay, it's kind of shot, but it's even coming out. I mean, it's coming out, but it's
I'm more angry that the Flash show got to 10 seasons than the fact that the movie's not out.
Why are you doing stuff like that?
It should not have lasted that long. Why?
Bro, some people love to see what's the villain's name? Damien Dark.
That's the guy villain. That's not even the guy.
Theo. No. And the other thing is like, Well, yeah,
What's the other thing?
but the score is like into Zion. Like, I mean, the bar is on the floor. Like, even though Superman's coming back, we're so desperate to have him back that we're okay with the score change. But in reality, like, if tomorrow for some reason Robert Pattinson's Batman showed up in something and they used Elfman's score from the 90s, we'd be like, what the hell's going on, right? Like, or if even Tom Holland's Spider-Man suddenly started swinging with Tobey Maguire's score, it wouldn't feel natural. It's not that character's thing. I get that there's multiple versions of the story, because since Christopher Reeve is dead, technically it's like, okay, the score is like, that score just sits in time now. You can use it. Whereas every other version of the actress or the character is still alive, so they can still use it. But I don't know, then use it for Brandon Routh. Like, I don't know. I personally am upset that they're using the John Williams score. It's just that beggars can't be choosers. And at this point, I just want to see Superman on screen. But I do think it doesn't make sense to use the score. I mean, I like the John Williams score. It's absolutely amazing. But I don't know.
I also agree. It doesn't make sense, and you think they would have learned their lesson from Joss Whedon's Justice League, but clearly they didn't. And you made the perfect point. I saw like the video on Twitter of somebody who like dubbed over the Elfman theme on one of Pattinson's scene when he's like going like walking to the Penguin's car when it's flipped over, and it's like it just does not fit, and it's not really for that character, and you can tell that it just does not fit what this version of the character is. And that's kind of how it also felt in Joss Whedon's Justice League for that Superman. Even though it's more of like a distorted version, but it was still John Williams' Superman theme. So I don't know why they would not use Hans Zimmer's theme. That is the theme of this Superman. And you made the perfect point. It makes no sense that you have different iterations of the character. You wouldn't do this to Spider-Man. You did not do this to Batman and wouldn't. Why are you doing this to a different Superman? It doesn't make sense. Though I guess from all their themes, the John Williams Superman theme is the most iconic superhero theme probably. So I get that nostalgia bait and pull is what they're kind of anchoring on. But still, it doesn't make sense. This is a different Superman. He has a set theme that's also amazing. Just give him his theme, Hans Zimmer's score.
The rumors are that the score, the version of John Williams' score they use is going to be the true John Williams Superman score, where if you remember what Danny Elfman did in 2017 Justice League, it was like a very weird version of the score. Like, he remixed it in a very strange way. That only made it worse, in my opinion. I was like, what the hell's going on? It's like
I think he inverted.
Yeah, he inverted it. Yeah.
He inverted it, yeah. And then he used it
for the evil scene.
When Superman was trying to kill the Justice League.
It made no sense. I'm like, okay. So it's not great. But Umar, I mean,
I actually don't agree. I don't actually agree with the points that are being made. I think that, like, I think the last point, right? Like, Superman's score, because it's the most iconic, it's linked to his character. It's not really linked to like one actor. You know what I mean? Like, his score is the score. Like, that's Superman's best iconic score, even though I like the Hans Zimmer one more. And that's why I think that, like, I was never against the use of that score. Like, if they used it, if Zack Snyder used it, I wouldn't care. Like, it would be like, oh, okay, nice, wow, like, great. But he didn't, and obviously with the whole 2017 Justice League, you have a whole story now behind why the fans are finicky about people using that score, because it reminds them of that time or whatever. But why is he on hella blurry, yo? Anyways, I think that, like, it's fine. I think it's fine. I actually think, like, at the end of the day, like, Superman showing up again in another director's thing, it's okay for them to be using the John Williams score. It might even be good. It just depends how they use it. If they use it like Danny Elfman did, then it's going to be dumb. But if they use it in a, like, I don't know which way they're going to use it. Like, it depends on the scene that's happening, right? Like, if he's coming up to The Rock, if he's coming to Black Adam, and he says to him, we need to talk, right? That's a stupid way. Like, if you're going to use a score while he's walking up and then while he's talking, it doesn't work then. But if you, because it's not a scene, it's not a hopeful scene. Like, it has to be like a hopeful scene where he shows up, like, to save the day or something, which is not going to happen because it's a cameo. So I don't know what they're doing with it.
I just think at this point I'm just excited to see him back. So, like, for me, I'm feeling more excited for DC right now than I have for several years, because think about, even like, if you look at the stream and look at how we talk about DC, 90% of our topics are like, why is Michael Keaton Batman again? Why is this happening? Why are they doing this?
It's always negative.
Yeah. Why is there a headless cameo in Peacemaker? Why is there a headless cameo here? And originally Black Adam was going to have a headless cameo of Superman with no one talking, right? Like just a little cape flowing, like we made a joke about last week. That was the original. That was legit what was going to happen if Henry Cavill didn't sign up to be Superman. And in hindsight, I get why they did it. They did it because they were holding out hope that Henry Cavill will come back. Because if they didn't really care, they would have recasted him for Shazam and then just let a new Superman show up. But they didn't want to have a new Superman. They wanted to keep it on like purgatory for Superman until a new director chooses what they want to do. But now that they gave him a contract to show up for multiple movies, this changed the dynamic. Now the idea of a reboot will not happen at least during the Discovery era. Like Umar said, the biggest problem is we don't know when they're going to sell this company again and again and again. There's no stability. Like Disney's never going to sell Marvel, so there's always a stability and like it's fine. Like what they're doing is long term. Whereas for DC, who knows what's going on, right? But in the end, it's a business. They're going to follow the money. If Black Adam is a success and people really talk favorably about Superman returning, then they're going to feel confident in their decision. Whereas if people didn't like something, they're going to hear and they're going to be like, okay, people don't want us to do this or this or this. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But let me go through the comments quickly. From Rodney saying that they still don't have a DC Studios head, which is true. There is no replacement for Hamada yet. No sense in committing to movies. That's an interesting point. And you also add that I read that Zach actually wanted to use the Williams score, but W wouldn't let him. That is true. Jay Oliva pointed out on Twitter that originally, this is like 2012 level, so obviously things have changed. They originally wanted to use the John Williams theme for Man of Steel, but I think for the best, WB at the time, ironically, it's a different version of the studio. They're like, no, everything has to be brand new. This is a brand new generation of Superman. And they're like, they got Hans Zimmer, who's incredibly talented, and they created one of his best scores. I think it's one of his top three scores, honestly, in my opinion. I still think Lion King is his best score, but this is up there. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at on this one. In terms of a new Superman movie, and this is the last topic before we kind of wrap. It's gonna be a little shorter stream. What do we want to see in a Superman movie? We'll go quick around the room. Like if Henry Cavill's back for a Superman solo, what's the best route? Is it that, he's going to mentor a young Supergirl and they're going to fight Brainiac? Is it going to be just another kind of like, it's definitely not going to be a dark movie. I think we're going to get a very standard Superman movie if he's back. But what do you guys want to see out of a Superman movie? Manziani can go first.
I know the safe route is to say, give him a Supergirl mentor role, but I think that's not a good place to start him with. Like if you're really bringing him back to soft reboot or whatever his new era as Superman, he needs to have a pure solo film first. I'm not sure what story they would do because I feel like something like Brainiac they would save for with Supergirl to do that duality, but I'm not sure what the villain would be. But I feel like give him a solo first, like give him his time to shine post Snyder era, which he has not gotten. So to have audiences reconnect with him and accept him as he is Superman, he's the guy, and let's see him going forward. And then him mentoring Supergirl in the future would feel more of a connection to it rather than just pushing him with Supergirl. It feels like, you're just giving Superman the short end of the stick again, as usual.
It's funny because you said something that I think made both me and Samir internally chuckle, because you're like, if they don't use Brainiac, I don't know which villain they'll use. I think that's part of the flaw of Superman, because what villains are there? I mean, who are they going to use? Metallo? So Samir, which villain would you choose? Like Parasite, Livewire?
That's literally what I was gonna say. This guy has no good villains. No villains.
Well, what about Black Adam? He's a villain now.
Yeah, but that's Shazam's villain.
Not anymore.
I guess they could do him and Shazam fighting Black Adam, but that's more Shazam and Black Adam because they have the same powers, right? They're the same guy.
Yeah, I think The Rock will disagree with you, but
oh yeah, of course.
Well,
they already had what?
I said he changed the hierarchy, bro.
Bro, I hate the hierarchy.
Me too.
They already have a connection with Superman and Shazam because they had this cameo in the post-credit scene, so they could make that work if they wanted to. But I don't think that would be good for Superman.
Okay, but then here's the two options. If you had the option of him and Shazam versus Black Adam or him and Supergirl versus Brainiac, I would rather choose the Supergirl one.
Yeah, Supergirl, no brainer. Yeah, versus Brainiac, that's a good movie. You can even see it. He's training a young Supergirl, teaching her the ways. Maybe they'll talk about Man of Steel a little bit, and then Brainiac comes from Krypton, and it's a connection for both of them. They've done this a few times even in animation. Like they could do this story, like where him and Supergirl fight Brainiac, and there's connections to Krypton and everything. Like that would be a good movie. Like that's what I would want. Like out of a
That's way better than him and Shazam facing Black Adam.
I don't want to see that. That's good for Black Adam 2, by the way. If Black Adam 2 wants to be like him versus Superman, I'll do it. I'll watch it. But for a Superman solo movie, I'd rather have him and Supergirl versus Brainiac than like nothing. But I don't know, Umar, what's your take? Do you want Superman versus Darkseid?
Same take as you. I want the Brainiac Supergirl thing is much better than the Black Adam. I think we should get both, to be honest, because you can do both. Like it's just legitimately you could have both be done. Shazam and Black Adam need to have a movie together anyways. I guess if you want to use Superman in everything, like if he shows up in the cameo in this, then he shows up in the Flash, then you do a Supergirl and him versus Brainiac movie, then he shows up again in Shazam and Black Adam. That would be like a really good, 4 or 5 years or whatever of getting Superman in multiple projects. Of course, I think a solo doesn't actually make sense unless you do what Henry Cavill wants, which is he wants a movie in between Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And I doubt they're going back to that. Like, I doubt they're going to go that far. Also, he looks older. I actually think they shouldn't even think about that. Like, he doesn't even look like he can pull that off.
In
They
the
could
end,
do the aging thing, but honestly, no. Like, just don't even take the risk. Like, just do something.
In the end, it's been 10 years, like I said. Like, it's been a long time since he was in Man of Steel. For the actor and for the character, I think it's best to actually make him play to his age. Like, let him be a mentor Superman. Say he's been Superman for 10 years straight. Like this movie wouldn't come out till 2024, 2025. You could say when he's mentoring Supergirl, he's like, oh, I've been at this for 10 years. This is what I've learned. I've killed, made a mistake. Whatever line you want to give him, you can give him. And then Supergirl, who just got put into his universe at the end of The Flash, she's also kind of fish out of water, doesn't know what's going on because she's the Flashpoint character. Meaning, if you remember Flashpoint, Superman was hidden in like the government facility, and he doesn't know anything about the world. They just switched Superman for Supergirl. So this Supergirl will be the same thing. She doesn't know what's going on. So she would need a mentor to really hold her hand to becoming like a real hero. So that's kind of where I am on that one overall. It's like that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. But overall, any other thoughts?
No
other thoughts. All right, then. So, what do you guys think about Superman returning to the DCEU? Where do you want to see a Superman solo movie go? Let us know in the comments and join the debate. From myself, from Zayan, from Umar, and from Samir, we're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.